Now, the title of my talk is With Love from Thailand, Tips for the Journey. Because I truly do want to share with you love that I've experienced on a multitude of levels while being in Thailand, most recently for the past 7 months. And I also developed some tips, 5 main tips that I want to share with you today about moving along, and I want you to think about it as interpreting it as your own journey of life, how you can apply these tools, these tips to your own experience. The first tip is, we are all connected. Now, I know this isn't a huge stretch for those in this community, but despite our skin color, our shape, our size, our beliefs, there's something that connects us all, that we always have this divine connection. And as Ernest Holmes said, is he saying that yet? I go quick with the slides. Ernest Holmes says, we are affirming the unity of all life, a unity which includes all variety. Unity passes into variety and multiplicity without division. When I first read this quote, it sounded like a math story problem to me, and I kind of shut it off. And then I realized, yes, it's about the fact that we can't divide God. We are expressions of God. There is no division. On a cellular, chemical level, we're made up of stardust. That's who we are. Now, this next picture is visiting a temple in Angkor Wat, as they're called, up in Chiang Mai, and I love going to the temples. They were colorful and filled with this positive energy. So I would hang out. I was a Wat hanger-outer, and one particular day I went to this one temple, and I noticed that there was like a clothesline, a big white string going from one part of the temple to the other. And I thought, how rude of the monks to think they could hang their clothes across this temple. And as I went inside the temple, thinking that was rather odd, I then saw that the string also wove its way through the little monk figurines and continued going all around the temple. It also, this clothesline, went outside, back and forth, and held these paper-type figurines, paper folding things. And I was very confused. And I thought, okay, what's up with the clothesline? And so I, of course, inquired and found that on certain holidays, which this happened to be one of Songkran, auspicious holidays, they have a string that weaves through the entire temple. And a monk will hold one end of the white string and bless it and send energy to it. And it spreads throughout the whole temple. And then at the end, they cut it up and they give it to the neighbors. And they wear it around their wrist oftentimes. It's this blessed bracelet. And the images with the string, with the paper figurines, were ladders to heaven to help people have their prayers go up to heaven, and also help people who had deceased also ascend up to heaven. So it was a very beautiful ritual. This next one shows the Buddha statues on the day of Songkran. They were blessed with water, and people would pour water over the type of statue that they had, depending on the day of the week that they were born. And then they would splash the water upon themselves. And so it was a wonderful little ritual of sharing this connection. We're made up of 70% water, I believe. And so to continue that connection with Buddha, blessing us with water as well. And so what I'd like to find out from you now is, where and how do you feel that we are all connected? Could you just go ahead and call a few ways out where you see that we are connected? Our hearts, yes. Where else? Music. Music connects us as well. That's wonderful. our DNA. Humans have like such a small percentage that is different in DNA. It's amazing when you look at it, how connected we are. What else? Meditation connects us as well, yes. Any other ideas? Breath, yes. And one thing that I found out really distinctly is when I travel, there aren't the divisions of borders either. And some negative sides about being all connected is we've seen how pandemics spread, how climate change has affected us all. And so there is the shared responsibility to a planet that we're all connected on. The next tip that I want to share with you is to stay curious. Never mind what it did to the cat. I think he's got like 8 other lives anyway. So it's important to keep your curiosity alive and to keep going on in life because, as Albert Einstein said, the mind that opens to a new idea never returns to its original size. Think about it. Once you know something, it's hard to unknow it. And when you're curious, you explore, you take on new paths, you get out of your comfort zone a bit. And now, this next slide, I wouldn't be able to show you had somebody not been curious about what was beyond the moon and the sun. From the James Webb, how many of you have been seeing the pictures coming out? And if you don't believe in a God before, how could you not after seeing these? The universe, whatever you want to call it. But this divine essence that now invites us to be curious, to explore, to ask questions. What more is out there? Or what more is in here on your journey? It could be something big, like the universe, or something simple, like this little girl who is stretching into a new awareness of her body. I watched her for a while as she got onto this exercise equipment, which is scattered throughout most towns in Thailand. And she had a vision that someday she'd be able to do this. So it's important for us to stretch beyond our comfort zone, to be able to step into something that will expand our muscles, our cellular muscles, and our memory of who we are. Maybe it's something like being curious about foods. How many of you like trying new things? Okay. Well, this, when I first saw the flowers on it, I thought, okay, that's something a little weird. But you stick peanut sauce on anything, and it's amazing. So be curious about little things. How about this next one? How many of you have ever been buried in sand? Okay. It's an amazing experience if you haven't tried it recently. And I watched this little girl, and she just looks so delighted. And the texture, to be curious about what it is to have this wet mud all over her body. This next one was be curious about learning new things. This little Thai girl in a traditional Thai dress, very appropriately wrapped, I might add, was trying to teach me a little Thai dance. The pigeons did a much better job than I did at it, though. Curiosity also invites us to explore places. The next slide. Explore places that might initially frighten us. This was a big, massive cave in southern Thailand. And I was a little frightened to go in, especially after walking in a few feet and realizing I could not even see the hand in front of my face. But eventually, I got that feeling that I can trust, especially trusting the light that points the way. I think we can all do that. If I hadn't trusted and been curious, then I might not have seen this. What do you think this is? Any ideas? Oh, a nest? Oh, that's a new one. No, it's actually turned a little different. It's hanging down. Anybody see? It's a stalactite. Stalactite. But anybody see any other image in that other than a nest? A what? Animal. Okay. This was pointed out to me. I didn't see it initially, but it's an alien head. So I was pretty impressed that that's where the aliens have been hanging out, literally. Yes. Now this next one. What does this one look like? Yes, that's a little more obvious. And white elephants are also very auspicious in Buddhism. He looked like he was a little sad, melting elephant, because he hadn't been out in the sun. He needed to go be back in the sun. And so now, I want to ask you, what are you curious about? And can you move through your fears to discover the answer to your curiosity? Who would like to call one out? Something you're curious about in life. No curiosity today? You're worried about what it did to the cat, I know, but still. Anything that propels you to that next right action that says, yes, you can do this. To me, it's the first stages of finding your passion as well. People say, oh, I don't have a passion. But then, I don't think they fully explore their curiosity and move into taking action on what they're curious about. This next slide, I hope. Yes. The next tip for your journey is replenish your soul in nature. Thank God we have Bidwell Park right here in Chico, that we can so easily access the beauty of it. I just know that when I'm going through challenges and difficulties of any kind, I like to get back out and discover the wonder of nature. As Marie Davis says, to walk in nature is to witness 1,000 miracles. I think there's even more than 1,000. When you look at the beauty of nature and you see all that the divine mind continues to create on such a pure level, I'm going to show you a few. Nature reflects back to us who we are and what we put into it. So it could reflect the beautiful mountains, blue sky, waters, trees, or it could reflect back the pollution, the garbage, or our ways of thinking about life. Nature is also abundant and can replenish itself so easily. These are branches at night from a tree called the golden shower tree. It has a horrible name, but the cool part about it is it can be used to cure illnesses. And so they found that certain parts of these flowers can help heal many disabilities, many ailments. Another miracle of nature, as I would sit on this deck in the morning, turn your heads. My slides didn't quite line up with the Google slides, so you get a little exercise with your neck today. Any angle, just run with it. But it reminds me how gravity isn't really an issue here. And as I would sit out on the hammock and watch the sunrise and the mist burn off from the mountains, I just got this excitement about every day holds such new possibilities to it. Every day, at the very beginning, we get a new chance to think how we want to think in the day. So connecting with nature in the morning is a key way of getting clear in life. Or at the end of the day, the miracle of the sunset. I hope it's, oh good, I thought you were going to have to turn on your head for that one. The miracle of the sunset that reminds us to relax, calm down. Everything that needed to happen in that day happened. And release. Nature also can be a wonderful way of connecting by realizing that it can climb up and originate in hard places. Life can spring forth out of cliffs With just a little bit of soil, it finds its way to grow and thrive and prosper. So despite whatever challenges you're on in your path, your journey, remember that sometimes you just need a little nutrients to take off again, to grow. And this was on a big reservoir lake. We were on this longboat, and we drove around for hours, just amazed at the life growing out of the rocks. This next one is a plumeria. They're all over Thailand. And this simple flower is one of the flowers that I would just love to sit near. And Eckhart Tolle said that flowers are messengers from another realm, more fleeting, more ethereal, and more delicate than the plants out of which they originate. So we are all those delicate flowers that are blooming, supported by a stronger foundation of spirit. So the question here is, how do you replenish your soul? Where do you go to have that replenishment, that nutrients fulfilling your soul? Where? Here. Oh, wonderful answer. Where else? Yahi Trail up in Upper Bidwell Park. Beautiful. Where else? Walking barefooted in the lawn. Oh, I love that. Yes. And to the river. Yes. Walking barefoot in the river, too. Fishing in the lake. Yes. Anytime being around water, just trees. It's amazing, the energy that comes from that process. And I have to add walking on the beach, because some of those pictures were on the beach, and that was such a great source of relaxation to me. And I know many are beach ocean lovers here. Okay, the next slide. Give thanks, the next tip. Give thanks and appreciate it all. This person holds up the world. I'm first drawn to the fact that we have what is called a Goldilocks planet. We have this beautiful planet that's just right for human life. And to start by just appreciating that wonderful balance that we get to live on. And by showing appreciation, now this tip I should have even made as highlighted the most important one, because when you start appreciating, it's like priming the pump. The law of attraction comes in and says, oh, yes, you like that, I'll give you more. So it's important to turn things into an appreciation. And Neil Donald Walsh, from his book, states, gratitude is not merely an emotion. It is a decision. So powerful is this decision that it becomes a definition, telling us what is so about any situation, circumstance, or event. Think about that. When we say we're thankful, the universe recognizes that, oh, it's a gift for you. That's what's so. I will share more of that gift. Sometimes it's difficult to look at our circumstances and always find the gift in them. Here I'm at the bottom of a monument called the Big Buddha. And there were all these steps that I had to take. And they kind of felt like some of the problems and challenges I was going through. And I thought, oh, it's an incredibly hot day, like Chico, but with humidity. And I did not want to climb all the way up to the top. But I knew if I just took one step at a time, breathing through each little step or obstacle, that eventually I'd get to the top. And up there, I could see all over the island. And I could see the light streaming down. And I could get a different perspective. That's what we need. When we give thanks and appreciate something in our life, we allow a new perspective about it to emerge, to inform us of what's possible. Here, this little boy is very grateful for the water that he has collecting in his little coconut shell. It was another really hot day there, and he poured the water over his head over and over again, and I just watched his delight. It was part of Songkran too, where they share water or throw water at each other, and he was having a wonderful time with it all. Also being grateful for food. Anybody recognize this? What this is? It's a massive amount of pad thai, which is a very traditional Thai dish, and it's only 50 baht, which is just like a little over $1 for a plate of this food. Just being thankful that we have food each day, that gratitude for simple little things. Maybe you can go out to the park or somewhere in Chico and pick a peach off a tree. Not just anybody can do that. And I think of, once again, the people around the world who are struggling with food at all in their lives. And while I'm not thrilled that, oh, he's sideways too. Oh, he's put on some weight. Wow. Ronald McDonald sideways. I'm not grateful that McDonald's is all over the world and in Thailand, but I am grateful that he's learned to express gratitude. So I had that slide for him. What are you most thankful for in your life? Go ahead and call out a few things again. Family, yes, that's a huge. Travels, yes, being able to. Pardon? Light itself, yes. Life itself, and light itself, because without life there would be no light, and vice versa, I guess. What else? The center, again, thank you. Pardon? Health, yes. Oh, and in the last 3 years, I know we've all appreciated our health when we've had it, and when we haven't, we really appreciated it when it came back. And now, the fifth and final point is, oh no, oh good, it did show up. Don't be attached to any of it. It's challenging because sometimes we just get a little screenshot of life. We want to hang on to something. Doesn't always work out that way. I want you to meet Spot, my friend's dog. Now, Spot loved to play fetch more than anything at all, but he was very attached to his ball. And so he was willing to sacrifice this game that he truly loved to hang on to the ball. I kind of put a stop to the game right there. So I want you to begin to think about, what are you so attached to? What are the balls in your life that you're not willing to let go of, even though you want to play the game? What are you sacrificing? Think about it. I'll ask you in a second. Frida Kahlo, I'm sure some of you are familiar with her work. She said, "Nothing is absolute. Everything moves, everything changes, everything revolves, everything flies and goes away." She was a Mexican artist who was afflicted by polio in her young life, and then in a serious bus accident that broke her spinal cord. And so she began to shift from her career as studying medical school stuff, and she became an artist because all she could do was lay in bed and paint pictures, self-portraits. And it was an example of not being attached to maybe what you thought you would do, but open to new possibilities, knowing that things change. So life is kind of like we're on this bicycle that we can take off on, but we've anchored it to something hard and impermanent. I mean, hard and permanent there. So our life might be that bicycle that wants to move forward, but no, we're attached to beliefs, fears, ideas that are holding us back, like that big stuck wagon behind us. Think about what you're attaching your beliefs to that are not letting you move forward. Oftentimes in life, we come on one form of transportation, but we can't continue the journey on it. It's rusty and rotting. One of the boats even had a tree growing up in it. Not good to go back on the sea with. So we need to redefine, maybe, the next mode of transportation. We can't always continue to move on with the same one we've been given. Whatever that means to you, just know that there is a constancy of life that invites us to step out of our comfort zone, to step into a new form of transportation. I watched these children on the beach, and they worked for a good 20 minutes building this beautiful castle with sticks and shells and some feathers, and you can kind of guess what's going to happen. But they were so excited, and then as the tide naturally does, it comes in, and the wave taught them the law of impermanence. The little girl looked shocked at first. The boys were a little better with it, but they thought, I think of children. They get over things rather quickly. It's like, we'll just build another sandcastle up the beach, which they did. But how often we keep on looking in the same spot, going, where is that sandcastle? It's become part of the beach again. It hasn't disappeared, just changed form. So what attachments do you need to let go of? If you want to share some? Doingness. I like that. Yes, instead of being. We're not human doings. What else? Anybody have the fear of not being good enough? Not being capable enough? It's been a big one. Or not wanting to risk. Any belief that shows that you're not what the universe knows you to be. So next, I want to remind you that if you miss or you think you missed your ship, another one will come in. If those boats are too rusty, just wait. New boats will arrive. There is the cycle of life. The sun sets, the sun rises. There's that constancy that also fills a void. I think Emerson said, the universe abhors a vacuum. So more will, even though it's impermanent, new things will come. And now, to quickly review the first one, we are all connected. Whether we show up in the form of a golden Buddha, a bronze statue, or a flesh-covered human, we're connected by a string of invisible hearts that weaves its way through everything in life. Stay curious. It invites you to the next right step, the next passion to unveil. Replenish your soul, however that looks for you. Fourth, give thanks for everything on your path, even though you might not understand the meaning of it. And the fifth, let go. Don't be attached to any of it. Now, I have to end with a quote from the Buddha, because I came from this land of Buddhism. And here he says, in the end, only 3 things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. So please take these tips and know that they came from a place of love. Take them on your journey. Thank you.